Team USA just won the gold. Congratulations. But now everyone's thinking about already Olympics 2028. Who will be on Team USA? And could Cade Cunningham be on Team USA in 2028? We'll talk about that in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs have winded down, the Olympics have started to end. The sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every single day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. You'll hear a little bit more about FanDuel just a little bit later. But in today's episode, we'll be discussing Cade, Team USA in 2028. How realistic is that? The Detroit Pistons in-season tourney schedule has been revealed. We'll talk about that as well. Hopefully a little bit more positive than it was last year, but we'll talk about that coming up. And then also, something pretty interesting, we'll talk in the way later on to the episode. According to Spotrac, the Detroit Pistons are the only team left with cap space. They are the only team remaining under the cap space. They have $10 million, around $10 to $11 million in cap space. They're the only team. I want to talk about that a little later as well. But first, we're going to discuss Cade Cunningham, Team USA. So obviously, over the last week, Team USA, they won the gold. Steph Curry put on one of the best performances I've had the privilege of watching. That final game, those 4 threes he hit in a 2-minute span, I was losing my mind. You can ask my wife. I was in here screaming WTF over and over after he hit the last one. After he hit the last one, I was like, oh my God, what did I just watch? There's no way he just hit that. So, but anyways, yes, Team USA, they won. Congratulations. LeBron was the MVP. Just fantastic being able to see LeBron, Steph, KD play together for what seems like probably the last time. It was super dope to see. But with that now over, the conversation has now went to who's going to be on Team USA in 2028? Because LeBron won't be. If he is, I don't know what the hell he's on. But if LeBron won't be, Steph probably won't be, KD probably won't be. These guys will be 40 years old, and not everyone's LeBron. So those guys are probably going to be gone. Will AD even be on it at that point? Like, AD will be a little older too. Like, these guys are getting up there. So what is Team USA in 2028 going to look like? And a few lists have listed Detroit Pistons star guard Cade Cunningham as someone that will be on that team. So here's just a random list I pulled. This one's from FanDuel Sportsbook. You know, had to rock with the partners, you feel me? But this one's from FanDuel Sportsbook. They tweeted this one out, and they tweeted what they believe could be the Team USA roster in 2028. So I want to go through this picture real quick, list all the guys they have on here, and then we'll come back. So they got Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and Cade Cunningham. Then you got Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, Cooper Flagg. In 4 years, I believe, will be, 21, 22? So Cooper Flagg. And then their bigs, Bam Adebayo and Chet Holmgren. So the bigs aren't really, I don't think you need to be looking at the. Is it possible? Do I think Cade could be one of the guys actually selected for the 2028 team? Yes, I do. I think it is a really good chance he's on Team USA in 2028. And here's 2 reasons why. One, I think Cade's going to be amazing. I think Cade's going to be a really good player by then. I think he's already a really good player. I think he's going to be a great player by then. I think they're going to have team success with the Pistons by then. I think he's going to be talked about a lot more by then. I think he's going to be respected a lot more by then. And also, the game is getting global, so a lot of the top players are not from America. Like everyone already knows, Giannis, Luka, Jokic. There's plenty of others. Shai was playing for Canada. So a lot of the top players in the NBA are not American, so it leaves open a little bit more spots for American players. But yeah, I just think Cade's going to be really damn good by then. So I think it's possible. Also, if you go through the American guards, now again, maybe there's a rookie that gets drafted over the next few years that all of a sudden is like, LeBron or something. Like maybe that happens. Who knows? Maybe that does happen. But I don't see that happening. If you go in the NBA and you look at the guards, names that weren't on this list at the guard position that maybe could be Jalen Brunson. I'm surprised Jalen Brunson's not on here. But, okay, Jalen Brunson's one. Trae Young, potentially. That's another one. Let's keep it going. Maybe LaMelo Ball. That's another one that could be on here. Really, I think that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting a guard that I think like everyone's thinking about right now. But yeah, that's who I have right now. I might be forgetting somebody, but I don't think I am. I feel pretty confident in this. So that's the guards at that point. So there's probably maybe 2 or 3 guards that you would consider as well for Team USA. Along with that, if you want to look at the wings that weren't named, maybe Cade gets slotted in as a wing because he is 6'6", 6'7". Obviously, Scotty Barnes was one of the names that was not mentioned on this. Jaylen Brown, not mentioned on this. So those are 2 names right there that could take a spot. Potentially a Brandon Miller. Maybe that's a name as well. I want to make sure. Maybe I'm really happy they included Zion because I think Zion very clearly is going to dominate Olympic basketball in 4 years. Like I think it's going to be like domination. Yeah, I'm sure there's some other names I'm not saying, but those are the immediate ones that jump out to me. So there's overall point. I don't think there's like these long list of names that people are like, okay, well, this person needs to be before Cade, this person, when it comes to American players. So I think Cade has some of the numbers on his side as well, along with the fact that I just think he's going to be damn good enough. Like, I think he's just going to be great. I think he's going to be an all-star. I think he's going to be an all-NBA player by then. Like, that's how good I think Cade's going to be. And then the second reasoning is Cade has a relationship with Team USA. He's had a relationship with Team USA going years back. Like, he came up in the program. So having that connection already there is 100% going to help. Having that relationship 100% is going to help. Remember, just last year, everyone remembers, in Team USA camp last year, people were glowing, all camp, saying that Cade was dominating Team USA. Not on the main team, on the select team. Everyone was talking about how good Cade looked, how they had him. There was an athletic article written, not just by James. It wasn't from the Detroit beat. It was from the NBA beat. Just someone writing for the athletic NBA coverage, talking about how Cade was being played as a Luka Doncic type and was dominating Team USA in team camp as on the select team, not the greatest teammates. So along with that and him growing up in the program, he has the connections, he has the relationship with the coaches, with the program. I just think it's pretty likely that he'll be on the team. So I do think it, like I said, I do think it's pretty likely. I know there's some people that are like, I already saw it, like, why is Cade on this list? Cade, they just were the worst team in the league. Well, in 4 years from now, the Pistons won't be the worst team in the NBA. In 4 years from now, Cade will be 26, 27. He'll be in his prime. And in his prime, I think he's going to be an all-NBA player. So, yeah, I do think that he's going to be on Team USA. I think he's going to be a damn good player. I think his relationship helps a lot in regards to this. Also, by the time 4 years from now, like, guys are older, like, who knows? I don't really see that many people that Jalen Brunson is the first one that immediately came to my mind that I couldn't believe they have him on this picture. But, like, there's not many others that I just think in 4 years that Cade won't be better than. And maybe that's because I'm just high on Cade. That's fair. But also, Cade has a relationship with the team, like I said, and he dominated them this past summer. So, I don't know. And I wonder if Cade was invited to be, like, on the select team, on the practice team, this year and just decide not to. I do wonder if that happened. Because I did find it interesting that he was not on the team or in the camp this year. But yeah, I think he's going to be on the team in 4 years. I don't think that's a hot take. I think it's probably pretty likely. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Cougar Hill. Do you agree or disagree that Cade will be on the team in 2028 for Team USA? Again, I'll read the roster that FanDuel put out. Is John Morant, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and Cade Cunningham at the guards. Jason Tatum, Zion Williams, and Paolo Banchero, J-Dub, and Cooper Flagg at the forwards, and Bam Adebayo, not Bam. Bam Adebayo and Chet Holmgren at the bigs. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about that, if you guys agree or disagree. Coming up, the Detroit Pistons in-season tourney schedule has been revealed. We'll talk about what it looks like could potentially be the Pistons record during the in-season tournament. We'll talk about that coming up. I love sports. I've loved sports my whole life. I've played them my whole life. I don't think I'm ever going to probably stop loving sports. But as the playoffs have winded down, we obviously get fewer sports. And as the Olympics have winded down, we get fewer sports, fewer games that we'd like. But FanDuel lets me keep the sport going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all our customers with a boost or a bonus daily. There's something for everyone every single day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. I've told you guys this many times. A few years ago, when betting became legal in Michigan, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to try out. I tried out FanDuel, and I have not turned back since. Not only is it super easy to use, not only is it super self-explanatory, mainly it's super fun to use. So I've used FanDuel all these years, and I think it's incredibly fun. I know you guys will too. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. That's what FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So I want to thank you guys again for being Locked On Pistons. Your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review or whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Real quick, if you guys are supporters of mine, and I'm assuming if you listen to the podcast, you are a supporter. I appreciate all of you guys. I want all of you guys to go in the comment section down below. Literally right now, pause the video. Go in the comment section right now and say, please, Megan, turn on the AC. I'm going to be texting my wife right now. Listen, there's a constant fight that happens in this household. I come home from work, I record this podcast, I come in this room, and I am sweating. I feel like I'm in a sauna the entire time we're recording. I'm sweating my life away. So I'm texting her right now. Turn the AC on. And she always looks at the comments, even though I tell her to maybe chill with the comments. I need you guys to all go to the comments and be like, please turn the AC on. Stop torturing our good friend and host, Kuka Hill. Like, it's not right. It's absolutely not right. But anyways, moving on. The Pistons had their in-season tourney revealed, their schedule for the in-season tournament revealed for this season. Just to recap last season, I want to just look back at last year's in-season tourney. Not that the teams they played or anything like that. Before we dive into what expectations should be for this in-season tourney, I just want to say last season couldn't have went worse. Like, not only did we come on the podcast and say, hey, it would be a good thing, in-season tourney, have some, play well, yada, yada, yada. It could help with the season. It could give some positivity to the season. Not only did they lose, like, every game, they also went on, like, a massive losing streak that everyone knows about during this time as well. So, like, it was just, like, doubly bad. I have to assume and just, like, hope, and I think a lot of you guys will be praying that it doesn't go that negative again. I don't think it can get that bad. So just wanted to recap that real quickly. But this season, they will be grouped in with the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, and the Toronto Raptors. Pretty good group for the Pistons to be included in. Milwaukee obviously is going to be a really good team. Indiana was just in the conference finals. The Miami Heat every single year are considered contenders even when they aren't a high seed because everyone knows what they can do and Jimmy Butler and all that. And the Toronto Raptors, I think, are the team in this group, obviously, that are closely to where the Pistons are, or at least where the Pistons would hope they're at. Like, this past year, they weren't very close together. But like the goal for the Pistons this year is to probably be in that same tier as the Raptors are and hopefully above. So that's the team that you'd hope you could probably squeeze a win out against. The way the schedule looks, the Pistons are going to be starting it off on November 12th against the Miami Heat at Miami. Then they play Toronto at home, and they play Indiana at home, and then they play against Milwaukee on December 3rd in Milwaukee. I don't expect them to beat Milwaukee. Like, it's just, I don't expect them to do that. The Indiana game, I just don't think they have the defense to keep up with Indiana. Like, I know it's a new year. Maybe things are different. Maybe they aren't as good offensively. Maybe somehow the Pistons are better defensively. But if we're judging it off this past year and the additions and subtractions both teams made, I still expect Indiana to be one of, if not the best offensive team in the NBA. And I still expect the Pistons to be one of, if not the worst defensive team in the NBA. So I think Indiana's just going to run it up on them. I don't think they can beat Indiana. This past year, there was a few games where it really just got disrespectful when they played Indiana. Like, they were just laughing at the Pistons. You had Tyrese Haliburton literally laughing in Isaiah Stewart's face. You had Benton Mathurin, like, just talking crazy to Jaden Ivey. Like, Indiana, I think, is going to be one of those teams that, since they're in the division, the Pistons will play them obviously more. I just don't think the Pistons are going to win many games against the Indiana Pacers over the next few years because it's such a bad matchup, because the Pistons continue to be so bad defensively. When the Pistons decide to address their defense with actual defensive players, maybe they can. But my prediction is that Indiana will be the team in the division that maybe causes them the most trouble over the next few years, just because of how lethal they are offensively. And I just don't think the Pistons have it defensively to compete with them. So I don't expect them to be Indiana. The two games that I think Pistons fans should hope they can squeeze out, that they hope that they can win. And obviously, you love it if they could beat Indiana or Milwaukee. Obviously, I just don't think it's going to happen. The two games I think they have a chance at winning are Miami and Toronto. So I'll start with Miami. Like I mentioned, Miami is considered contenders in the playoffs, even when they're the 8th seed or the 7th seed, 6th seed, play in. Like, they're considered play-in or contenders because everyone has seen them turn it up in the playoffs. They've seen Jimmy Butler go off in the playoffs, playoff Jimmy. They have Eric Spoelstra as their coach, who is one of the best, if not the best coach in the NBA, and one of the best game-to-game adjusters and in-game adjusters in the NBA, which serves you extremely well in the playoffs. But that's the playoffs. This is still part of the regular season, the in-season tournament, part of the regular season. And the Miami Heat over the last few years, I would say, don't really take the regular season that serious. And if they do, something goes on during the regular season where they're just not as good as they are during the playoffs. Now, I know a few years ago, like I think it was 3 years ago now, they were like a top 3 seed, I think it was. I think they might have even been number 1. But that was a few seasons ago. There's been a few seasons now that they kind of take the regular or the regular season not as serious. So either they're not taking it as serious or they just aren't a good regular season team. Like, either way, I think that makes them vulnerable for a situation like this where the Pistons could take advantage and just win the game. So I think that's the main thing there. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Jimmy didn't even play in this game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they, like, rested him or, you know, if he had a minor injury and just didn't play. Like, that happens too with Jimmy. So I think they could just steal one from Miami, because I don't think Miami is too overly concerned with the regular season, let alone an in-season tourney. So that's one. Toronto. So this is the one that's like, you would assume, like, just looking on paper, like, players versus players, team versus team, you would think the Pistons have a good chance at beating them. You would think the Pistons have a really good shot at getting a win here in the in-season tourney against the Toronto Raptors at home. It's a home game. You know, Toronto's not going to be a great team. They're kind of in flux right now as they try to take that next step with Scotty Barnes after kind of restructuring and rebuilding their team from the championship team. So they're in that same kind of flux I think the Pistons are going to be this year. But here's the problem. They're at home. And you may be wondering, how is that negative? Piston home games against Toronto are never home games. I don't know if you've been to home games, to LCA, when the Pistons play the Raptors. The chants in the stadium are more go Raptors than go Pistons. When the Raptors score, the stadium gets loud as hell. When the Pistons score, it's just not as loud. When the go defense, like that little chant goes up in the Jumbotron, that's not getting loud. At least I've been there the last few years, each year. Each year I've seen at least one game of Toronto in Detroit, each year. Every single time it's been like this. Every single time. So that's what should scare, Pistons fans about that, is that anytime the Pistons play the Raptors, like, they don't have the Dwayne Casey guru magic anymore. Like, they don't have that the sprinkle pixie dust that Dwayne Casey had because he got fired by the Toronto Raptors and now was coaching the Pistons. Now all of a sudden the Pistons have their number. They don't have that no more. Dwayne Casey isn't there. Now all they got is no pixie dust, and they don't even have home court advantage when they play at home because it's basically a Raptors home game. So you think that roster-wise, like they match up, that the Pistons could win that game, but even that one I'm really scared about because, like I said, it's not a home game. They're basically playing another away game. Unless Pistons fans show out and show up this year and all of a sudden turn around what's happened, I would say like the last 5 years with the Pistons, even when Dwayne Casey was the coach, towards the back end of it, even when they would win some games, like the stadium still very much was Toronto fans, especially the Monty Williams this past year. It was just as bad, but it's been like that for like 3-4 years, maybe even before then. I don't want to say it was like that in the 18-19 where they actually made the playoffs. I think like there was a lot more engagement, obviously, because of that. But since then, for sure, it's been basically like Raptor home games. So that concerns me. That's what concerns me about that. So if I had to give a prediction for what the Pistons will go during this, I'll go 1-3. I think they'll win one of the games, Raptors or Heat, and then they'll lose the other 3. If they're able to do better than that, that would be a major success. But I just can't see them beating Milwaukee with Giannis. I can't see them beating Indiana because of their offense. I think Indiana's just going to be a problem for a few years with the Pistons. And then Toronto or Miami, I think that's their shot. So last year they went 0-4. Last year they had a long losing streak along with it. I don't think there will be a long losing streak like that, and I don't think they'll go winless either. So, don't think it's going to be bad as last year, basically. Let's be positive. That's a positive outlook. It'll be a little better, just a little bit. So let me know in the comment section down below, though. Do you guys agree, disagree? Will they win more? Will they win less games? Do you think they'll lose all of them again? Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill. The Detroit Pistons are the last team in the NBA with cap space remaining. They are the only team below the cap. Does that mean anything for the remaining of this offseason? So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel @Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so according to Spotrac, which I read this article from Hoops Hype, then I verified it with Spotrac, and it's correct. As long as our guy Keith Smith, NBA, is continuing to be the best cap guy out there and running Spotrac. If they are correct, which they almost always are, the Detroit Pistons are the only team with cap space remaining. So the Utah Jazz, they just reworked and signed Lauri Markkanen to that extension. So that brought them to above the cap. So they are just about $1 million over. So not terribly, but they're just $1 million over. That leaves the Detroit Pistons, who have, according to Spotrac, somewhere around here, $10.2 million left in cap space. They're the only team in the NBA that has cap space remaining. Now, there's a few things that could be said about this. The first thing is, are they going to sign another free agent? Is there another free agent out there they should be trying to go after? My answer to that is yes. I'm going to maintain that they need to get a backup point guard badly. Even if you are a big Jaden Ivey believer, Jaden Ivey was never believed to be a full-time point guard. And the way it's looking right now, he is going to be your full-time backup point guard, which is not a recipe for success, especially how he looked last year running point guard. And if you want to be honest, how he looked the majority of his rookie season. He looked better the last month and a half of his rookie season running point guard. But I don't think even like the staunchest, the biggest Jaden Ivey stands, when he was drafted, his future was not perceived to be a point guard. He was supposed to be this combo scoring guard. That's what he was looked at as. And right now, the Pistons have him playing out of position, I think, this upcoming year, which I don't think will be good for him. He should be playing off ball. Not when I say off ball, people are going to think, oh, no, he needs the ball in his hands. No, you can have the ball in your hands, but be an off guard. You shouldn't be the one setting up the offense. You shouldn't be the one getting the team into sets, controlling tempo of the game. That's not what he's good at. He's not good at that at all. That's not what Jaden Ivey is. He's not controlling tempo. He doesn't keep speed of the game. Like, That's not who he is. He doesn't control his speed. He's a little erratic, but it helps him. That's part of his, the good and bad with him. You don't want him running point guard, basically is my point. You want him being the off guard. You want him to be the scorer. So the Pistons need a backup point guard. So Markelle Fultz is still remaining. I think Markelle Fultz would be great. They need some defense. He can't shoot, but he can play defense. He's a really good driver. He's a really good passer. He gets to the rim. He's a good finisher. He can draw fouls. He can do everything else but shoot outside shots. And if you're trying to play Marcus Sasser at any point, he's the perfect fit next to Marcus Sasser. And the Pistons need some size at the point of attack off their bench. They don't have it at the guard position. They need it. He'll do that. I think Markelle Fultz is a really good fit. I don't think they need outside shooting from their backup point guard. They need someone who can get to the paint, drive and kick. They need someone who can set the team up, can run the offense, can play some defense, and actually, work on that end of the floor. I think Markelle Fultz would be a really good option. And a few other names are in free agency that I just think would be fine names just talk to. Not even if they don't want to sign, that's fine. I get that it's not the perfect fits, but a few guys that now that you have that money just to simply, poke around about, like Cedi Osman, check out what's going on there. What kind of contract could you get him on? Isaac Okoro, what kind of contract could you get him on? What's that looking like? Just peek around those guys. Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris, see what he's doing. Do they want to be in the locker room? DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr., another guy I would like at the backup point guard position. Point of attack defense, can get to the rim, can run the offense. I thought he played well for Brooklyn the last few years, especially on the defensive end. Excuse me. So Dennis Smith Jr. is another name I would be okay with the Pistons going and signing. They need a backup point guard. These are just some names, and there's a few other ones that I'm not seeing on the. I'm going through the free agency list. There was one other name that I was thinking of that I don't see it anywhere. His name anywhere on here. I'm drawing a blank. But those are the names I was really paying attention to. I'll probably think of it later on after I record the podcast and kick myself. But those are the names they should be kicking around. Possibly sign one of those guys. The second thing they could do, they still have $10 million to help be the team that facilitates a 3-team deal. Now, $10 million is not a lot of money to offer to eat. It's not like you have the $30 million they originally had. They have $10 million. However, what we heard from Trajan all season was that he wanted to acquire future assets. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to use the cap space to acquire future assets. That's what he said. That was his main goal of the offseason. I would say they did not do that at all. If that was truly his goal, which maybe he was given just PR and wasn't really telling the truth. Who knows? I mean, I'm not going to hold him completely to his press conferences. I know how those things go. But if we are to take him for his word, did the Pistons do that at all? I'm not counting the THJ trade as getting future assets. You didn't get future. I don't care what anyone says. You're not going to convince me of that. Getting a second-round pick by giving up the better player and younger player, which I would venture to say was the better future asset because he's younger and you had him under team control. That is a future asset. Giving him up for an old player on an expiring to get a second-round pick, that is not acquiring future assets. I don't care what anyone tells me. That was a bad deal. That was a horrible deal. I'm not going to kill him for it. I'm not saying it ruined the offseason, but that was a terrible deal. It was just, you won't get me off of that. It made no sense. I don't like it. And it did not acquire future assets. You did not. That second-round pick, no, it's not a future. You're not getting me. What they did with the rest of the cap space, they re-signed Simone Fontecchio. They signed, I'm drawing a blank, Malik Beasley, and I be drawing blanks. Let me look this up. Who's the name I'm forgetting? Tobias. My God. Yeah. Okay. So they signed Tobias. They signed Malik Beasley. They went and traded for THJ, and they brought back Simone Fontecchio. That's how they used their cap space. None of those options include acquiring future assets. None of that happened. So if he is still trying, if he is still trying to get future assets, it makes sense why they're still holding on to this $10 million. So they're hoping that at some point before the start of the season, they're able to get in on a trade that gets them maybe a future asset or two. I think that's the options right now. I think that's what we're waiting to see. And we have a few months before the start of the season. So who knows what's actually going to end up happening. But I don't think it's an accident that the Pistons are just sitting here on $10 million. You don't hear them, really in the market of anything. They're kind of being quiet. I don't think that's an accident. So we'll see what they end up using it with. I'm not sure at this point, but I think those are the two options. So Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think the Pistons are going to be doing with that $10 million? Why are they sitting on $10 million? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. Another reason I think they could also just want to be remaining flexible. But remaining flexible for what? And that takes me into the two options I've laid out. So, like I said, let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill how you guys feel about this. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free to available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. And until next time, peace out.